Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what are you guys up to?
Oh, a little weed, you know.
It's the Weedsman Podcast Nugget.
Zippity what?
Ready to drop the bass? Let's drop the bass.
Whoop-de-doo. What does it all mean?
All the random stuff that didn't fit in Friday's show you'll find here.
Oh, okay.
Hey, man. You got a joint?
Got a little bit of reef rice along on your board?
What that mean?
Please, just give me my weed, all right?
I'm starting to see the meme a lot on the internet of, well, I finished Netflix today.
Don't spoil the ending.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I still have to work my way through Tiger King. I have a lot of Netflix to finish yet.
Yeah, I got a lot of incomplete Netflix that I now just need to go and fill out.
Yeah. Turn in those incomplete projects.
Yeah, maybe things I gave up on.
Yeah, all right, so I started watching episode 5 of Tiger King earlier, so I think I'm about halfway through there.
Are you getting more and more convinced about Carol?
No, I'm more convinced that she didn't do it, and the more I see of Joe Exotic, the more I realize this guy, he's not just a quote-unquote character. This guy's a complete fucking asshole.
Essentially.
And I wouldn't want to be anywhere near a guy that is that loose with firearms.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a product of his environment. Pick one, Florida or Oklahoma.
If Carol's a killer, then she is the world's best actor because she has the role of the ex-hippie flake animal lover down to a T. To think that she has like a killer buried in there, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. And there were two. If this was like, you know, her husband was like, if it was any other circumstances with her husband, I guess is what I'm saying. Other than the fact that the guy flew planes out of the country, had multiple families, you know, it was just sketchy and illegal in the first place. And I have to admit, you know, I was kind of charmed by Joe Exotic early on.
This is the moment.
And, you know, like, I'm watching him sitting there, like, in a white hoodie with Joe Exotic, like, airbrushed across it, and the tiger stripes. I'm like, I'd wear that shit. That he was actually ahead of his time. Stylistically, he looks like he fits in now with all the crazy patterns and colors and shit that people are wearing. But he was doing that, like, all this footage is like from 15 to 20 years ago.
He's white trash meth, Siegfried and Roy, right? Even with the gay. He's even got the gay in there.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's like I said, I was charmed by him, but that wore off pretty quickly when I just saw him do some fucked up shit. You know, he's beating a tiger with his cane. Yeah, the tiger's trying to eat his shoe, but what the fuck? It's just a tiger.
I forget it. Part where you walked into the gift shop yet?
Oh, that's early.
Yeah. I couldn't remember where that is. Yeah, well, you might as well. You're going to hear about this anyway. Yeah.
Somebody, I don't know if I can explain this well, but somebody made a meme. There's a meme of the Krusty Krab, you know, from SpongeBob, and all the fish are in it, and they're all eating, but it's something like Mr. Krab comes out and makes some announcement or something like that, and everyone like stops eating and their eyes get really big. So it's that shot, but they photoshopped in Joe Exotic, and he's facing the restaurant full of people, and he's saying, well, I want you to hear it from me first. One of our employees got their arm bit off by a tiger, and I can give you a refund. And they're all like, what?
Have you felt like you're on an acid trip yet? I mean, episode 5, you've had to at least one time. Like, check your coffee. Like, I don't remember dropping acid today.
Yeah, I don't know.
There was a couple times Mandy and I just had to go, what the fuck are we watching?
I'm
What
torn
is
by.
this?
I think it's a really well made documentary, right? I think that there's a lot that's gone into it. Obviously, there's way too much in there. It should have. If you really want to make a cohesive documentary that tells a real story, it's not going to be 7 episodes long with 45-minute episodes. You know, we don't need all this backstory about the millionaire guy that comes and bails Joe out in his war with Carol, and then he's got his special dude that he brings in to work that only reports to him. So that dude's butting heads with Joe, and I'm like, this adds absolutely nothing to any of the storylines that you're laying out. Now, it's great.
It makes Joe look more of an asshole.
It's great.
Supports
I mean, it's
that
great in the
theory.
way that this is entertainment. This is just a mashup of Honey Boo Boo and professional wrestling.
Yes.
You know, so the more footage they have of people with not enough teeth and too many tattoos, they're just going to keep going. I mean, they're coming out with another episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're getting number 8.
I wouldn't be surprised if we got a whole nother season of this. I mean, that's what the one guy that was documenting a lot of this. That's what he was brought on for. He was brought on to do an internet show, but his idea was, I'm going to sell this to TLC or some shit, make some real money.
Netflix. But too, these guys, I wonder if, I guess it's crazy and wacky enough. It probably would have, but I wonder if it gets this much attention, if it doesn't drop like the weekend, the entire country gets locked in their house. I'm sure that I'm sure the last month's events may have added to the popularity of this.
I don't know. A lot of the comic book community that I follow on Twitter was talking about this before we went into full-on lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of talk about this show prior to it, but I don't think it would have reached everyone.
Yeah.
This would have been one of those shows where people like that, and people would have watched 5 minutes of it and went, yeah, I don't think this is really for me. Mm-hmm. But since they had nothing else to do, they were like, all right, let's fuck it. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah, we locked 300 million people in the house, and all of a sudden, hey, what's this? This guy's business in front, party in back. Let's see what he's all about.
Yeah. Yeah, so Joe Exotic, here's my halfway point assessment of our cast of characters so far. Carol is a total flake and is misguided, but a genuinely honest person, I think. I don't think she's a murderer. We already established that. I think her heart's in the right place, and I think she's sorely misguided and doesn't really focus her energy on the right things. Joe Exotic is a nutcase, is completely delusional, and is a dangerous person, and I wouldn't want to be within a football field of that guy at any point, anywhere, anytime. Just keep fucking nutcases with guns. I don't care how fucking charming they are. The fuck away from me. He's seriously dangerous. And then you got what's the other guy? The doctor. With all the wives.
Bogvadan.
The doctor.
Isn't that the name he gave himself?
The doctor I like. Yes. Now, the reason I like the doctor is because he's 100% fake and he's always on. He's always acting, and I appreciate that. He reminds me of Penn from Penn Jillette from Penn and Teller a lot. Now, different people, really different people. Penn Jillette is just not going to lie to you about anything. He's just not going to do it. He might be wrong. He could be really wrong about stuff, and he'll admit it, but he's never going to lie to you. This guy's the doctor, the lion doctor, or whatever the fuck he is. He knows he's lying. He knows he's created this character, and it's all facade, but it works for him. It's working gangbusters. Yeah. He's got his life. He's happy. So they kind of skim over, and maybe they dive back into this later on, but this idea of his wives and how much he works these girls and what they're expected to do and all this stuff, it's sketchy, but I didn't hear any stories about people being held against their will.
Yeah.
So there's that. So in general, where I think he might, sure, he has some creepy tendencies, and he's not a completely genuine person, and he's always acting, and he's got this personality play, but I like him. Because to me, that's honest, because I can see exactly what he is. Other than that, I mean, I don't know. Well, I like the director.
Yeah.
The guy who, because I just passed the point where the mysterious fire happened, right? Which, please, that was totally Joe Exotic setting his own shit on fire.
Are you saying mysterious when using air quotes?
Yes. You know me well enough that you know when I'm making air quotes just from the tone of my voice.
Mysterious fire.
And, yeah, I mean, that's just total bullshit. Like, they think they have footage of the producer. Oh, he was walking through the field this time. That looks like his head. Why is he going to set all of his own shit on fire? What motivation would he possibly have?
He's doing it for the story.
He admits.
He's doing it for the movie.
He has no backup of any of this stuff, And meanwhile, Joe he was vulnerable. That was all of his evidence that could be used against him. If the park gets seized by Carol, she'll have that trailer with all that footage inside of it as well. Yeah, and him.
Is their YouTube channel still up?
Like, it doesn't even matter to me if Joe's right in his stance. He puts out a video where he dresses up a blow-up doll like Carol, and then shoots it. Like, literally takes his gun out and shoots a blow-up doll in the head.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucked, man. That's seriously, you are a fucked up individual. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong anymore.
Yeah, that's definitely carrying a grudge. That is an unhealthy grudge.
Oh, yeah, ruined him. I mean, again, I'm only halfway through, but if he didn't do all this shit, I mean, he wouldn't have had to bring in his investor buddy and end up losing his place.
Yeah, and then what? Never mind. I keep forgetting you're not. Never mind. I was going to bring up something that I don't think you've seen yet. So. Yeah,
I mean, at this point, like, I'm not really bothered by spoilers in most cases, but that's really all. The only surprise I get out of this is like,
what fucked up thing's going to happen next?
Right. How deep does this really go? So spoiling that for me would ruin a big part of my enjoyment.
Everyone needs to see this unspoiled.
It's not glued to the television, engrossing type of watching. I'm half on Twitter. There's all this repetitive footage. They drag everything out. You can tell it's padded like a lot of the other Netflix drama shows are. They could have told all this story in 20 minutes. They could have put all of this entire documentary series into a 2-hour documentary easily and told a more concise story.
But what would we have watched during quarantine, Aaron? What would we have watched?
Yeah, I mean, that being said, like I said, it's good. It's an effective documentary. It's a little too effective, I mean, it's told in this way where nobody's going to say, like, he's going to film other people saying, yeah, I don't know for sure, but I know Carol fed her husband to the tigers. Mm-hmm. Right? And then just the way that you edit in those, quotes from people, the music, here's a picture of a lion eating a piece of meat, and we'll slow it down a little bit. We'll put some ominous music in. I mean, the director or whoever was involved in making this documentary, they want you to believe that Carol killed her husband. Uh-huh. They want it to look like they're just presenting the story.
I did well, because I sure as hell think me and most of the country think she did it. So they did that job well.
Yeah. But it's much like what's his name? Flint dude.
Michael Moore?
Yeah, much like Michael Moore's documentary. I think it's the same thing. Michael Moore, I think, makes great documentaries. I think he's really effective at what he does. He's not like making journalistic quality documentaries, though, where there's actual integrity to it.
Fair enough.
I don't mean that as a slight either. He's doing what he's doing. Michael Moore has a point of view. He wants to relay that point of view in documentary form. That's valid. Documentary doesn't have to be a documentary can be like an opinion piece as long as it's presented as such. An opinion piece is fine as long as it's clearly labeled in the right category and not being read as actual fact. And that's the difference between, an Errol Morris documentary or a Michael Moore documentary or this Tiger King thing and something that's actual. I'm having a hard time coming up with a good example, but there are documentaries where they are just presenting facts in a story and letting things play out as they do. Although that's a lot less of what we see these days.
American Factory?
Well, the McMillions, right? I haven't seen it yet, but I'd assume by the nature of the material that they didn't go into making a documentary going, oh, we want to expose, we think there's something going on with these contests that McDonald's are doing, and we're going to expose it. They're just presenting a story that we already know about. Or that's already, might have been reported on here or there, but nobody's ever put together the full story.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a little more like journalistic style documentary, where Tiger King is opinion piece.
And according to Rotten Tomatoes, it's being called Tiger King Season 1, everybody.
Yeah.
So, oh boy.
And no doubt. Because they're looking at this now and going, we fucked up.
Yeah.
We made a 2-hour documentary into a whole season of television, and we could have made 3 whole seasons of television.
Yes.
We already put a bow on the end of this and said, oh, this is done, not realizing how much people are really going to dig this.
And one of the rare things where the critics and the people are in lockstep. 92 with the critics, 88 with the people.
Really?
Yeah.
The critics are that high on it. Man, like I said, it's good documentary, but it's not good documentary. To get over 90%, that's got to be some moving fucking documentary footage.
Well, to me, I think it's more based on...
This is trash. This is fucking trash. This is cheap entertainment. These are glorified stories of people with huge egos and...
then you ready for this? You hit top critics. It creeps up a percentage.
I don't know.
Well, for me, I think what I'm guessing where the critics are with this, because you also think it's TV critics, right? It's probably different animal than movie critics. But two this has captured the entire country's imagination, so it's probably got a lot of that going for it. When something might not be good, but if it's good enough to get to compel the entire country, it's going to get critical love.
And there's a pandemic curve that this is being graded.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is this
everyone's
that big
coming together and enjoying the Tiger King? It's one of the few things that we can agree on. Do I really want to be the critic that's going to come in and shit on everyone's parade?
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
Apparently I do, but everyone else doesn't.
Do we like Joe Exotic that much if this didn't drop the weekend after half the country gets told to shelter in place?
Right.
We watched, it dropped on the 20th. I think we watched it on the 20th. I think we were early adopters just because my wife loves anything true crime. And if it's new and it's true crime, she watches it immediately because she's watched all the true crime.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But like I say, he got his wish. He's a TV star now.
The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.
For the ones who know that a little late is always too late. And that the clock doesn't stop just because you're missing a part. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry. And our Keep Stock inventory management solutions help ensure you have the right stuff in the right place at exactly the right time. Visit Grainger.com/keepstock to learn more. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Look in your home. Look in your office. Look in your home office. Everywhere you turn, there's so much smart. At Capella University, we think education should be smart too. Our game-changing FlexPath format puts you in control of your master's degree, so you can learn how, when, and where you want. Smart, huh? Yeah, we think so too. So if you want to take the next step in your career, make Capella your first step. Visit capella.edu to learn more. Capella University. Don't just learn smarter.
Discovery Plus is the greatest collection of real-life entertainment on the planet. 55,000 episodes from networks like TLC, HGTV, and tons more. Woohoo! Discovery Plus. Stream now. Stream what you love.
ChristopherMedia.net. The Weedsman Podcast.
Yeah, I was trying. What else was I watching on Netflix that dropped? Oh, Ozark. Season 3 of Ozark came out. Now, did you watch season 2?
No, we went over that. I bailed. For me, it became too much. The episode where, and I can pinpoint the line where Ozark went wrong for me.
Yeah,
when he goes, "Oh, nothing, honey, just had to make a deal with the mob today." Like it's.
Oh yeah, it's a tossed off like.
but also too, but they also made it seem like that's whatever. I just went to Kansas City and found someone in the mob, and I set up a meeting with them because it's that easy. Because that's how it will go down. Like, to me, that's when that show, like, I get it. It's a TV show. You're not, but to me, one of the initial draws of Ozark was it's based in reality, right? It's not like about a wizard boy or, like it's what the afterlife is like. It's based off of like a story that could happen in reality. And to me, that's where it jumped the shark, so to speak, of not being realistic. I couldn't just, I guess you could argue, with what they got going on, they got some ties to the underworld. They might be able to make a call or two. But it's like you or I could just go down to Detroit and find someone in the mob just like that and set up a meeting in a couple of days. That's what they made it seem like. And for me, that's when I was off the Ozark train. And my wife stayed on it, and she jumped off this season.
Right. But that's the thing. Like, Marty is a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Marty's superpower is finding the answer for everything.
Yeah.
He's like Batman. He is the one pulling the plan out at the last second and saving the day. And so if you go watch Justice League and you're watching Superman, you're like, wait a minute, why can he fly? This doesn't make any sense because he's an alien, because of the color of their sun. I don't follow any of this. So you're not buying into it, right? Mm-hmm. Which is fine. And in the same way, you're not buying into Marty having this superpower. It worked for me because I really love the character of Marty. Not only does he have the superpower of having the answer for everything, but it's also, the real dynamic of the show is controlled freak conservative husband versus headstrong wife.
Mm-hmm.
And the decisions they made for the character of Marty and the way. Well, I'll spoil it for you because if anyone out there hasn't watched season 3 yet and intends to, might want to skip ahead a little bit. But I don't think you have any intention of catching up with it. So I'll just say in season 3, it starts off with the two of them in therapy. They're trying to work it out.
Mm-hmm.
And you find out early on that Marty is bribing his therapist.
Wait, what?
Marty is giving... They leave their therapy session together. He circles back around, comes in, tosses a couple hundreds at her, and was like, nice job on pushing back on me on, this thing a little bit. Let's try and get her on my side on this subject next time. He's trying to manipulate his wife in their therapy sessions by paying off their therapist.
Oh, man. Sounds healthy.
Yeah, it's very unhealthy, but that's Marty. He is the control freak. If everyone just does what I think is the right thing, then we're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not going to do the right thing, then I'm going to figure out ways to make you do the right thing. He's very passive aggressive in that way.
Yeah, but
and season 3 sets up this. Your two Marty and God, what is the wife's name?
Laura Linney.
Yeah, Laura Linney. I can't remember what her character's name is. It slipped my mind. But
season 3, you can't remember a main character's name? That should tell you something.
Well, she is really starting to assert herself even more because she's full on wrapped into the business with Marty. This is a family affair at this point by season 3. Yeah. Everybody knows what is going on in this family. And Marty and his wife really start to butt heads in really interesting ways that I was like, wow, there's going to be some tough decisions made by the end of this season. This is going to be interesting. And then the brother comes in.
Who's his brother? Who plays his brother?
No, some dude. I've seen him in stuff before.
Oh, so it's not a well-known?
No, it's not a well-known actor. I bet he's one of those guys you're like, oh yeah, he's popped up. He played like some greaseball on CSI or some shit. You know, he was like an informant on some movie. He just looks like he's a little bit creepy dude, but looks normal enough that he can pull it off. So he's like the stealth dude. Like he looks normal, seems like a straight up dude, and then all of a sudden like gets really angry, and you're like, whoa, he must be crazy. Anyway, so he pops up, and long lost brother, kind of a loser, kind of a loose cannon, black sheep brother comes into town. And with a show like this, you've got to know where they're going with this. I mean, he might as well have just been, reading straight from the script as he enters the scene, because we know why he's there. At some point, somebody's going to have to make the decision. Like, this guy's going to find out, right? Why is he in this story if he's not going to find out?
Yeah.
What the family's doing, right? So he's going to find out. Then what? Well, he's a loose cannon. He's got mental illness problems. He's got problems with aggression. Somebody's going to have to kill him. And obviously, again, why would you put him in the story unless somebody in the family has to make the decision? And that's going to be the major conflict between Marty and his wife. Is like, hey, your brother's got to go. And
Wendy, by the way, her name.
Yes, thank you. Oh, thank you. It was driving me nuts. And that's what, like, when the show Ozarks is good, when it's really good, it's just taking normal family dynamics and just leveling them up a couple times with threats of death and, sex and drugs and interesting things. So wacko brother stays a little too long in the basement with over-controlling dad and headstrong mom. That's just a classic story. We know where you can build off of that very easily. And then they just make that the main like everything else halfway through the season, everything else falls away and it just becomes that. And then there's a whole episode where Wendy has to make the decision. She's running with him. He's pissed off the mob. They want him. She refuses to give him up. And he keeps doing things like running away, calling, doing things to attract attention. He is just uncontrollable.
Marty?
No, the brother.
Oh, his brother. Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah. She's running with the brother. The loose cannon brother, does the inevitable and blows the whole thing up, gets himself in trouble, and has the cartel after him.
Okay, gotcha.
And she doesn't want to give him up, obviously, because he's related, but he keeps fucking up. Like, he somehow... It's laughably ridiculous. Like, he keeps getting a phone.
So is this all you saying that for you it's losing some of its luster this season as well?
It lost all of its luster in one fell swoop.
Because my wife, she held on one more season, and then she said the exact same thing I did about 3 or 4 episodes in. Like, this isn't believable anymore. I'm done.
Yeah. She's in a minivan just driving wherever with her brother just to stay off the grid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she goes to a Walmart and she gets like, stay in the car, goes to get supplies, comes back. He's borrowed somebody's phone and made a call, and now they've tracked him. So they got to move again. And they go someplace else, and she goes to a gas station. And they stop, and he goes into the gas station. And she just watches him go. I'm like, do you not understand what he's doing? He's going to buy a phone. And what does he do? He goes in and he buys a phone and then tries to make a call again. And then finally she has enough and she just says, fuck it. Come get him. Just come kill this guy because I can't save his life anymore. And then she just cries and drinks in her car. Like, she doesn't leave the Walmart parking lot for like days on end. She just goes in, buys alcohol, comes out, drinks.
Wow.
But yeah, it's like a whole hour of me watching this going, just fucking kill Lenny already. Just tell him to pet the rabbit and look at the water. Like, can we just... Like, I knew what was going to happen with this character when you introduced him, because why else do you introduce a long-lost brother into a situation like this? No, so to now pretend like this is a decision that suddenly, like we're going to drag this out for a whole hour of this gut-wrenching decision. Is Wendy going to do it or not, or is she going to just leave the country with them? We all know what she's going to do.
Like, the only thing that has changed for me with this show is where I go for work now. I know where they're talking about. Like, I know all the places they're talking about because I go there for work. So it's like, that's the only thing that's changed. I'm able to watch this now and go, I've been there. Or I know what they're talking about. Like,
I was watching it the other day and thinking in my head, like, where are they? And I couldn't think of what state they were even in.
Well,
to start off with,
it takes place in Missouri.
And then I couldn't even place that state in the U.S. I was like, I realized the whole first season, I wasn't even really paying attention. I don't know where the Ozarks are. I thought it was like upstate New York.
No, Southwest Missouri.
I thought they were out on the fucking coast or some shit. And,
Missouri-Arkansas border. Yeah, it's nice country. It looks nice. It's nice driving through it.
But yeah, there's so much that the show does well, and then for them to just waste half a season on one aspect of a story that was just so obvious, it was just really disappointing. Because the rest of the cast is still killing. I mean, obviously, Laura Linney is a fantastic actor. Well, what's his name? Marty.
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman's great. I love him. The cast they have for the kids are fantastic, and which isn't always the case, especially when you get these shows that go on for multiple seasons, and like they cast somebody who's like young and cute, and then by the time they're a teenager, they're like, you got to start acting now, and they're like, I can't.
Is that what's happening with the son?
With the son? No, not at all. Like, that's what I was saying. Like, the cast is aging well. They seem to be aging appropriately. And still, and both the kids that they have in the cast are really strong. And there's a lot that they're expected to do. Mm-hmm. Now, I think a good part of season 2, they kind of got shoved off to the side, and it's not the case. There are major factors in season 3, and the whole, on top of the brother storyline being obvious and then just poorly executed, it repeats the same thing that happened with Buddy in season 2. They move into a house. The stipulation is the guy who lives in the house is going to live there till he dies. So he moves into the basement, befriends the son. So weirdo stranger befriends the son and then goes away. And they do the exact same thing for this guy. Long lost brother, moves into the basement, befriends the son, dies.
Hey, by the way, is that guy dead yet? The guy whose house they're living in? Did he die yet?
Oh, yeah. He died at the end of season 2. He makes this kind of sacrifice.
Oh. Like, he gets
I can't
killed?
remember exactly what happened, but like, yeah, there was somebody came to the house looking to kill somebody, probably Marty, maybe the whole family, and Buddy like did something, and they ended up getting shot. I can't remember.
Because I also remember having that thought in season 2, like, man, this guy's hanging out for a long time for someone who was going to die pretty soon.
Right.
And I know Ozark season 3 can't be that good because the word of mouth on it has not been, like, even though I know we're all locked together now, but still, social media, the word spreads, if something's really good, like, for example, like we just talked about Tiger King. Word spread on that shit real quick on social media, I haven't seen, I've seen people who are big fans like, oh, yay, Ozark season 3, but I just haven't seen like when Ozark first came out, just we all talk, the word of mouth on it's what got this thing going, and it just seems season 3 has come out and it's been out for a week now, and everyone's
looking for content, but that's been a wet fart.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's a real shame because another instance in where they failed in season 3 is they didn't give Ruth anything much to do. She was integral to all the story because she's woven into all this shit, but they really didn't. Ruth is not only one of your strongest characters, but also it's your character that has the strongest potential for growth. right? The most opportunities to learn something, to grow and become more of a well-rounded person. You know, Ruth has a lot of struggles. She has a lot to overcome. Marty and Wendy were born with silver spoons in their fucking mouths. You know, they're white and everything just fucking works out for them. They've been middle class their whole fucking life.
Hey, fake people, by the way, calm down. Fake people, it's a story.
Right. Right. And Ruth is real. You know, yes. Ruth is the one who's trying to pull herself out of a life of abuse, of, you know, she lost family members, some of them by her own hand.
Yeah. Well, and a stylist who has her stuck in the 80s. That's one thing that took me aback, too. Like, the high-waisted pants, the permed short hair. Like, I was telling Mandy, like, she has the hairstyle my mom had on her 40th birthday. What is going on with the 20-somethings? And, like, did they not learn from our mothers and our aunts with all the pictures from 30 years ago?
The tucked-in blouses with, like, the little frilly sleeves.
Yeah. No, don't do this again.
No, I think that actor is just great. I think the character of Ruth is fantastic. It was definitely a major reason why I kept coming back to the show. And it was just really disappointing. She was just always in the middle of everything. You know, her story for the first half was her beefing with Frank Cosgrove Jr., who was the son of the mob boss they did the deal with in Kansas City. I
expected more gangster shit out of her than the direction they went with her.
Yeah, and so she just like, he's always mouthing off to her and her back at him. And at some point she finally gets sick of his shit, kicks him in the nuts and throws him off the top of the boat, which is great. And then he kicks the shit out of her.
I expect her at some point to be some kind of queen pin. And no.
Yeah. And they even, because she gets asked at a certain point, and this is a really stupid scene because we're supposed to believe that Ruth is savvy. She might not be educated in all the things that the rest of the characters are, but she's at least savvy and she catches on quickly, right? So you know the lawyer, right? The kind of in-between for the cartel and the birds.
Yeah.
The Amazon woman. Mm-hmm. Who is just fantastic. I mean, what an actor. She just embodies that role perfectly. So Amazon woman lawyer comes to Ruth. And she says to her, oh, hey, lots going on. We're expanding a lot. And at a certain point, we might want to, we're going to need Marty to help us with our expansion that we're working on. So can you run the day-to-day on the casino as it is? And she's like, oh, yeah, I can run the casino. Yeah, no problem. I'm like, Ruth, you're not that stupid. First of all, when changes happen, that you hear them from Marty. Now all of a sudden the lawyer out of nowhere who has no direct day-to-day contact with you is saying, hey, if your boss was out of the picture, could you run the store?
That's what I'm saying. Like they made a lot of jumps in this. Lots of jumps like that in this.
Imagine
if
you were an assistant manager and your district manager comes in and says, hey, if the store manager, the GM couldn't be here for a couple weeks, could you take care of everything? You'd be able to put those two and two together, wouldn't you? Yeah. Like, oh shit, my boss is about to be canned and I could be getting a promotion, or at least a chance to prove myself worthy of a promotion. But she just goes, yeah, of course I can fucking run the place. And then they try and kill Marty, and then she's got a part of, oh my God, Marty, I had no idea. Like, really, you didn't know what that meant? You don't speak cartel yet? This is season 3. You should know how to speak this language.
Yeah, this show, to me, this show started strong, and each season just gotten weaker and weaker. And I tapped out halfway through last season, and I watched my wife not even get a quarter way into season 3 and go, nope, it's good enough for me.
And I think they really tried to, because getting a Netflix show past 3 seasons is tough. And they put this one on a total cliffhanger, I think maybe to try and hope that enough people would clamor to go, hey, we want to see what happens next. That they would still get a season 4, but I don't think they deserve a season 4, honestly.
Well, too, also,
I think at this point, you've got a really good cast that you're tying up. They could be working on other better projects right now. Laura Linney could be doing anything else.
It's true. So could Jason Bateman, and he has.
Yeah. So I think they just need to pull the plug. But yeah, there's this big the conflict that they set up at the beginning of this season between Marty and Wendy ends up being
nothing.
It's weird because like Marty ends up developing a more direct relationship with the cartel boss, and Wendy develops more of a relationship with the lawyer, their intermediary, the Amazon woman.
Hot.
And then business wise.
Boo.
And then the brother shit just blows everything up, right? So now all of a sudden Marty and Wendy are aligned again, and the lawyer's just looking at them as loose cannons again and trying to cut them out of the picture. So a whole meeting gets set up where the lawyer and the birds go down to talk to the cartel boss. And you're sure that, like, you've already seen the lawyers made her moves and went like, hey, these guys are getting out of control. Now they got this brother coming into town, blabbing his mouth everywhere. Oh, and the brother tells the lawyer's daughter what the lawyer does for a living. That was the final straw that like put his life on the line. So you're assuming that somebody's going to be executed when they go down to visit the cartel boss, and just immediately they get off the plane. He walks up, he greets the birds, he greets the lawyer. Somebody put the cap in the lawyer's head. While there's blood all over the birds, and the cartel boss is like, "Congratulations, you won."
And then they fed her to a tiger.
Yes. Yeah, that's how it ends. I was like, even that. Okay, so you did a little bit of a fake out at the end, and you didn't telegraph that you were going to kill the lawyer. But what else are you going to do? Right? You kill Wendy or you kill Marty, and then your story's over with, right?
They don't realize we live in a country where we watch entirely too much crime now, and we can do these equations a lot easier than we used to.
Yeah.
Right. The days of Perry Mason throwing the briefcase on the floor so the guy turns his neck are over.
So yeah, like he's supposed to be blind or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something like, or deaf, or couldn't turn his neck, or something like that. Or
right.
That's a Brady Bunch or something. I don't fucking know. No. Perry Mason was the briefcase on the floor, and wasn't the Brady Bunch like they threw a football and that person was supposed to be blind? I don't know.
I know the
it's
trope
all
you
the
speak
same
of, but I don't
hacky-
think I've ever actually witnessed either of the examples.
It's all the same hacky trope. Just like this show.
Oh, come on.
So, yeah, it's Ozark. Thanks for nothing.
Yep.
The Weedsman Podcast.
ChristopherMedia.net. There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth, and always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done. ChristopherMedia.net.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.